The massive chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with alien voices speaking in dozens of languages. Ambassador Hyunwoo sat quietly at the small human table, his dark eyes watching the alien representatives with calm attention. Next to him, Captain So-min kept her military uniform perfectly straight, her hand resting near her sidearm out of habit. Across the chamber, Councillor Vexithera of the Vorthak Empire stood tall on his 6 legs. His purple skin gleamed under the bright lights as he spoke to the other alien leaders. The Vorthak were the most powerful species in the galaxy, and everyone knew it. They had ruled space for over 3,000 years. The humans must learn their place, Vexithara said loudly, making sure Hyunwoo could hear him. They are children playing with toys they do not understand. Other aliens nodded in agreement. The snake-like Ceralians hissed their approval. The crystal beings from Nexus Prime chimed in harmony. Even the peaceful Kilari, who rarely spoke in council meetings, seemed to support the Vorthak position. Hyunwoo said nothing. He had been listening to these insults for 3 days now. The aliens thought humans were weak because they were new to galactic politics. Humans had only been traveling between stars for 50 years. Most of these species had been doing it for thousands. Ambassador Hyunwoo, Vexithara called out, his voice dripping with fake politeness. We are ready to present our generous peace terms. Hyunwoo stood slowly. He was much shorter than most of the aliens in the room, but he did not seem nervous. I am listening, he said simply. Vexithera pulled out a glowing data pad. First, humans will abandon all colonies in the outer rim sectors. These systems are too dangerous for such a young species to manage. Captain So-min's jaw tightened. Those colonies held nearly 10 million humans who had worked for decades to build new homes. Second, Vexithera continued, the human fleet will be reduced to no more than 20% of its current size. You clearly have too many warships for a peaceful species. The alien audience made sounds of agreement. Some even laughed at the idea of humans having a threatening fleet. Third, all human military activities will be overseen by Galactic Council observers. We must ensure you do not develop weapons that could harm galactic peace. Hyunwoo's expression never changed. He simply nodded for Vexithera to continue. Fourth, humans will pay reparations of 500 billion galactic credits for the disruption your rapid expansion has caused to established trade routes. Even the peaceful species seemed shocked by this amount. It was enough money to buy entire star systems. Finally, Vexithara said with a cruel smile, humans will accept permanent junior status in the Galactic Council. You may send observers to meetings, but you will have no voting rights for the next 200 years. The chamber fell silent. Every alien eye was on Hyunwoo, waiting to see how the human would respond to these crushing terms. Hyunwoo looked around the room slowly. He saw fear in some alien faces, fear that humans might actually fight back, but he also saw greed and arrogance in others. They thought this was already decided. Is that all? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Vexithera laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. All? Human, you should be grateful we are offering you any choice at all. Your species could simply be removed from space entirely. Captain So-min started to stand, but Hyunwoo held up one hand to stop her. She sat back down, but her eyes burned with anger. We have given you 3 days to consider these terms, said a Ceralian representative, its forked tongue flicking out as it spoke. Surely that is enough time for humans to understand their situation. Your technology is primitive, added a crystal being, its voice like ringing bells. Your ships are slow and clumsy. Your weapons are weak compared to ours. You have no allies, Vexithara said, spreading his forearms wide. Every species in this chamber agrees that humans must be controlled before you cause problems for the galaxy. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. I see, and if we refuse these terms? The chamber erupted in alien laughter. The sound was so loud that the translation devices struggled to keep up. Refuse? Vexithara could barely speak through his amusement. Human, you have 57 colonies and maybe 300 warships. We have over 4,000 star systems and fleets that could darken your skies. What could you possibly do if you refuse? Hyunwoo stood up straighter. For the first time in 3 days, he smiled. But it was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a predator makes right before it strikes. We could withdraw, he said simply. The laughter stopped. The aliens looked confused. Withdraw? Asked a Quilari representative, its fluffy fur standing on end. What does that mean? It means, Hyunwoo said, picking up his datapad and walking toward the exit, that we decline your generous offer. Captain Somin stood and followed him. Their boots clicked loudly on the metal floor in the sudden silence. "You cannot simply leave," Vexthera shouted. "We are not finished negotiating." Hyunwoo stopped at the chamber door and turned back. "Yes, we are. Negotiations are over. This is not how galactic diplomacy works." The Ceralian representative slithered forward angrily. "You must give us a counter-offer. You must continue talking." "Must we?" Hyunwoo asked. "Who made that rule?" Vexithara's purple skin was turning darker with rage. "If you walk out of this chamber, human, there will be consequences. We will not forget this insult." Hyunwoo looked directly at the Vorthak leader. His voice was calm and cold when he spoke. "Good, neither will we." The two humans left the chamber. Behind them, angry alien voices rose in a chaos of different languages. But Hyunwoo and Somin did not look back. As they walked down the corridor toward their ship, Somin finally spoke. "Sir, they have enough ships to destroy every human colony in a week." "I know," Hyunwoo replied. "They control all the major trade routes. They could starve us out in a month." "I know. They have weapons we have never seen, technology that is thousands of years ahead of ours." Hyunwoo stopped walking and looked at Captain Somin. "Do they?" She stared at him for a moment, then her eyes widened as she understood. "The Admiral's project. The thing they have been working on in secret. Admiral Tae-sung sends his regards," Hyunwoo said quietly, "and his promise that everything is ready." They reached their ship and began preparing for departure. Other human vessels around the station were doing the same thing. Within an hour, every human ship was gone. Back in the council chamber, Vexthera was still laughing. "They will crawl back within a month," he told the other aliens. "Humans are too weak to survive alone. They need us more than we need them." But one alien, an old Quillari named Zeftai, was not laughing. He had lived for 800 years and had seen many species rise and fall. Something about the human ambassador's smile worried him. "What if we are wrong about them?" he asked quietly. Vexithera stopped laughing. "Wrong about what? What if humans are not as weak as we think?" The Vorthak leader waved a dismissive hand. "Impossible. We know everything about their capabilities. They are primitives with delusions of strength." But Zeftai was not convinced. He had seen that look in Hyunwoo's eyes before. It was the look of a predator that had been hiding its true nature. Outside the station, human ships jumped to hyperspace one by one. Soon they were all gone, leaving only empty space where humanity's diplomatic mission had been. The silence that followed would last much longer than anyone expected. 3 months had passed since the humans walked out of the Galactic Council chambers. Director Ji-hai sat in her office deep inside Earth's moon, reading reports that made her smile grimly. Every screen around her showed the same thing: complete communication blackout from all human space. "Status report," she said to Commander Seok-jin, who stood at attention beside her desk. "All colonies are dark, Director. No incoming or outgoing communications for 92 days. The aliens are starting to panic." Ji-hai nodded. "Good. What about our merchant ships?" "Captain Dalsu's automated cargo vessels are performing perfectly. The aliens see empty ships moving goods but no human crews. They do not know what to think." On the other side of the galaxy, Counselor Vexithera was not laughing anymore. He stood in his private chamber aboard the massive Vorthak battleship, staring at reports from his intelligence officers. The papers in his 4 hands shook with frustration. "Nothing?" he demanded. 3 months and you have learned nothing?" His aide, a younger Vorthak named Kathron, tried to look confident.
"Sir, we have sent probe ships to 17 human systems."
"They all show the same thing, empty space. No ships, no communications, no activity. What about their colonies?" "Still there, sir. We can see cities and farms from orbit, but no one answers our calls. No ships leave the planets. It is as if every human in the galaxy has simply stopped." Vexithara threw the reports across the room. "Impossible. 57 colonies do not just go silent. They need supplies, trade, communication with each other." "There is something else, sir," Kethron said nervously. "The cargo ships, and what about them? Human cargo vessels are still moving through our space, but our scanners show no life signs aboard them. They are completely automated. When we try to board them, they self-destruct." Vexthera's purple skin darkened. "And the cargo?" "Gone, sir. Whatever they were carrying disappears in the explosion." Back on Earth's moon, Commander Seok-jin was briefing his special forces teams. The underground training facility was filled with human soldiers preparing for missions they had trained for their entire lives. Teams Alpha through Delta will hit the Vorthak supply depots, Sokjin explained, pointing to star charts on the wall. Teams Echo through Hotel will take out their communication networks. Teams India through Lima will eliminate their advanced warning systems. A young soldier raised her hand. Sir, when do we deploy? Soon, Sokjin replied. Director Jihai is coordinating with Admiral Taesung. When we move, it will be everywhere at once. On the Galactic Council station, emergency meetings were happening every day. The alien leaders were confused and growing worried. Without human trade, several smaller species were facing economic problems. Counselor Zeftai, the old Quilari who had questioned Vexithara's confidence, stood before the assembled aliens. His fluffy white fur was streaked with gray from stress. My people are suffering, he said quietly. Human traders brought 70% of our food supplies. Now our outer colonies are starting to starve. A Ceralian representative hissed angrily. This is exactly why humans needed to be controlled. They made themselves too important to our economy. But where are they? Asked a crystal being. Species do not simply vanish. There must be some explanation. Vexithara stood up, his massive form towering over the other aliens. It does not matter where they are hiding. When they get hungry enough, they will come crawling back. We just need to wait. Wait for what? Zeftai asked. Sir, it has been 3 months. If humans were going to surrender, they would have done it by now. They are primitive, Vexithara shouted. They cannot survive without our technology, our trade networks, our protection. But privately, even Vexithara was beginning to worry. His intelligence officers had reported some very strange things. Human probe ships had been detected near Vorthak military bases, but they always vanished before they could be caught. Several patrol ships had gone missing in sectors near human space, and there were rumors of new human technology that made no sense. In a secret laboratory buried deep beneath the human colony of New Seoul, Dr. Minho was putting the finishing touches on his greatest creation. The quantum communication array hummed with power, connecting every human ship and colony in a network that could not be detected or blocked by alien technology. Test complete, he reported to Director Jihai over the secure channel. All human forces can now communicate instantly across any distance. The aliens will never see our fleets coming. Excellent work, Doctor, Jihai replied. Admiral Taesung's ships are in position. Begin final preparations. Young-Soo, the brilliant AI designer, was also ready. His neural-linked tactical systems had been installed in every human warship. For the first time in galactic history, an entire fleet could think and move as one mind. Captain Dalsu was completing his final automated cargo run through Vorthak space. His ship's computer was recording everything: fleet positions, patrol schedules, defensive weaknesses. All of this information was being transmitted instantly to human command through Dr. Minho's quantum network. This is cargo vessel Soul's Pride, he broadcast on normal channels, knowing the aliens were listening. All cargo delivered successfully, returning to human space, but the ship was not really returning to human space. Instead, it would dock at a hidden human base in an asteroid field, where Captain Dalsu would transfer to a military vessel for the coming war. On the council station, Counselor Vexthara was receiving more disturbing reports. 3 more patrol ships had vanished near the border with human space. Long-range sensors were detecting strange energy signatures that did not match any known technology. Sir, his aide Kethron said nervously, perhaps we should consider opening new negotiations with the humans. Vexithara spun around, his eyes blazing with fury. Never. We do not negotiate with primitives. If they want to hide in their little corner of space like frightened children, let them. We do not need humans for anything. But even as he said it, Vexthara knew it was not true. The galactic economy was starting to suffer without human trade. Several alien species were asking uncomfortable questions about why the Council had driven away such useful partners. That night, as Vexithara tried to sleep, he was awakened by an urgent message from his fleet commanders. A single human probe had appeared near the Council station, transmitted one word, withdrew, and then exploded before anyone could stop it. The message was simple, but its meaning was clear. Humans had not vanished because they were afraid. They had withdrawn because they were preparing for something. In the depths of space, Admiral Taesung stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Inchin's Revenge. Around him, the largest human fleet ever assembled waited in perfect silence. Stealth technology kept them hidden from alien sensors. Quantum communications kept them connected across vast distances. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his communications officer announced. "Excellent," Taesung replied. "Send word to Director Ji-hai. Operation Homecoming is ready to begin." The Admiral looked out at the stars, thinking about the months of preparation that had led to this moment. The aliens thought humans were weak and primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In 3 days, the galaxy would discover that humans had not been hiding in fear. They had been preparing for war. And when that war came, it would be like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. The silence was about to end. But it would not end with human surrender. It would end with human victory. High Admiral Thexmore of the Vorthak Empire stood on the bridge of his massive dreadnought, watching his fleet prepare to jump into human space. Around him, 300 alien warships from 12 different species formed the largest military force assembled in over 1,000 years. "All ships report ready, High Admiral," his tactical officer announced. Thexmore nodded with satisfaction. "Begin the jump to New Sol system. It is time to remind these humans of their place in the galaxy." The alien fleet vanished into hyperspace, heading toward what they believed would be an easy victory over primitive human defenses. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Dong Hyun stood calmly on the bridge of his flagship, the Gwangju's Fury. His fleet was much smaller than the alien armada, only 60 ships, but every vessel was equipped with technology the aliens had never seen before. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "quantum sensors detect the alien fleet entering hyperspace. They will reach New Sol in 4 hours. "Perfect," Dong Hyun replied. "Signal all ships. Operation Thunder begins now." In the depths of space near New Sol, Captain Yoonji made final checks aboard her stealth destroyer, the Silent Moon. Her ship was completely invisible to alien sensors, using technology that bent light and energy around the hull. "All systems green. Captain," her engineering officer reported. "Stealth field at maximum efficiency. Quantum torpedoes armed and ready." Yoonji smiled grimly. "Excellent. Take us to attack position. Time to show these aliens what human innovation looks like." The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of New Sol system, expecting to find frightened human colonists begging for mercy. Instead, they found empty space. "Sir," the tactical officer reported to High Admiral Thexmore, "I am not detecting any human ships. The system appears to be abandoned." Thexmore frowned. "Impossible. Intelligence reports indicated 3 million human colonists in this system." "Where are they?" "Unknown, sir. But I am detecting automated defense platforms around the planets. They appear to be primitive." "Of course they are primitive," Thexmore laughed. "These are humans we are talking about. Order the fleet to advance. Let us destroy these pathetic defenses and claim this system for the Empire." The alien armada moved forward confidently, their massive ships bristling with weapons that had conquered dozens of star systems. They expected the human defenses to crumble immediately. That was their first mistake. As the alien fleet approached the inner planets, space around them suddenly erupted with invisible explosions. Ships that had been completely hidden revealed themselves as their stealth fields dropped. Human vessels emerged from asteroid fields, gas giant shadows, and empty space itself. "Contact," screamed the alien tactical officer. "Multiple human ships decloaking." They were hiding everywhere. Admiral Dong Hyun's voice cut through the chaos on an open channel. "Attention, alien fleet. You have entered human space without permission. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." High Admiral Thexmore laughed despite his surprise. "Human, you have 60 ships against our 300. Surrender now and we might allow your colonies to survive." "Negative," Dong Hyun replied calmly. "Last warning. Withdraw now. Destroy them all," Thexmore ordered. The alien fleet opened fire with weapons that could crack planets. But the human ships moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen before. Every vessel dodged and weaved in perfect coordination, as if they shared a single mind. Young-Su's neural link technology allowed the entire human fleet to think and react as one organism. When one ship detected a threat, every ship knew about it instantly. When one captain had an idea, every other captain could use it immediately. Captain Yoonji struck first. The Silent Moon appeared behind 3 alien dreadnoughts like a ghost materializing from nothing. Her quantum torpedoes punched through their shields as if they were made of paper. Impossible, shouted an alien captain as his ship exploded. Their weapons cannot be that powerful. But they were. Human scientists had spent the last 3 months creating weapons that used quantum mechanics to ignore traditional defenses. The torpedoes did not just hit their targets, they reached through space-time itself to strike at the molecular level. General Quan Ho led the assault on the alien forward bases that had been secretly established near human space. His Liberation Corps soldiers appeared on alien installations using teleportation technology that made their attacks impossible to predict or defend against. Alpha Team, take the command center, he ordered over the tactical network. Beta Team, secure the weapon systems. Charlie Team, plant the charges. The alien defenders never knew what hit them. One moment their bases were secure, the next moment human soldiers were everywhere, moving with speed and precision that seemed impossible. Sir, an alien officer reported to High Admiral Thexmore. We are losing ships too quickly. Human weapons are cutting through our fleets like they are made of wood. Thexmore watched in horror as another dreadnought exploded under human fire. How are they doing this? Our intelligence said human technology was primitive. On the silent moon, Captain Yunji was already lining up her next target. Fire quantum torpedoes full spread, she ordered. Her weapons officer grinned as he pressed the firing button. With pleasure, Captain. 6 more alien ships vanished in brilliant explosions. The human fleet continued its deadly dance around the confused alien armada, striking from unexpected angles and vanishing before return fire could find them. Dr. Minho's quantum communication network allowed human commanders to coordinate attacks across the entire battle space instantly. When Admiral Dong Hyun decided to focus fire on a specific target, every human ship knew about it immediately and could adjust their movements accordingly. Sir, the alien tactical officer was practically screaming now. We have lost over 100 ships. Human casualties are minimal. High Admiral Thexmore could not believe what he was seeing. His mighty fleet, which had conquered star systems across the galaxy, was being destroyed by a force 1/5 its size. All ships, he broadcast. Retreat to hyperspace! We need to regroup and... His order was cut short as quantum torpedoes from 3 different human ships struck his dreadnought simultaneously. The massive alien vessel broke apart like a toy, taking High Admiral Thexmore with it. The surviving alien ships fled toward the edge of the system, desperate to escape the human trap. But even in retreat, they continued to take losses. Human pursuit ships followed them all the way to the hyperspace jump point, destroying stragglers with precision strikes. Of the 300 ships that had entered New Sol system, only 47 escaped. Admiral Dong Hyun stood on his bridge, watching the alien survivors disappear into hyperspace. Around him, his crew was cheering, but the Admiral remained calm. Damage report, he requested. Minimal, sir, his tactical officer replied with obvious pride. We lost 3 fighters and suffered minor damage to 2 destroyers. The aliens lost over 250 ships. Dong Hyun nodded. Open a channel to the fleeing alien vessels. When the channel was established, the Admiral's voice was cold and clear. This was our mercy. Do not test our wrath. General Quan Ho's Liberation Corps had completed their mission as well. Every alien forward base within 50 light-years of human space had been captured or destroyed. Alien military officers who survived were being processed as prisoners of war. Sir, one of Quan Ho's officers reported, we have secured classified alien military documents. Their fleet positions, supply lines, defensive strategies, everything. Excellent, Quan Ho replied. Transmit all data to Admiral Taesung immediately. He will need it for Phase 2. On the Galactic Council station, emergency alarms were blaring. The news of the disaster at New Sol had reached the alien leadership within hours. Counselor Vexthera stood in the communication center, staring at reports from the few ships that had escaped the human trap. His purple skin had turned almost white with shock. Over 200 ships? He whispered. In 6 hours? The old Kulari counselor Zeftai spoke quietly from behind him. Perhaps now you understand. Humans were never weak. They were simply hiding their strength. Vexthara spun around, his eyes blazing with fury and fear. This is impossible. Human technology cannot be superior to ours. We have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. And now, Zeftai said sadly, humans rule it instead. In the depths of space, Admiral Taesung received the battle reports with grim satisfaction. The first phase of Operation Thunder had succeeded beyond all expectations. Now it was time for Phase 2. Signal all fleets, he ordered. Begin general advance. Target every alien military installation within 200 light-years of human space. The war that the Galactic Council had started was about to become something much larger, and this time, humanity would not be fighting defensively. This time, they would be the ones doing the conquering. President Nayung stood in the Situation Room deep beneath Seoul, watching holographic displays show human fleets advancing across the galaxy. Each blue dot represented freedom coming to oppressed worlds. Each red dot represented another alien military base being eliminated. Status report, she requested from Admiral Insu, who commanded the expeditionary forces. Madam President, our fleets have reached 47 star systems in the past 2 weeks. Alien military resistance has been minimal. Nayung nodded. The aliens had been so confident in their superiority that they never imagined needing to defend their own territory. What about civilian populations? Protected as ordered. We are targeting only military installations and government facilities. Alien civilians are being offered the same protections we give to liberated species. On the other side of the galaxy, Warden Sujin was processing another group of surrendering alien officers aboard her prison ship, the Justice's Hand. The massive vessel had been designed specifically to handle war criminals with dignity while keeping them secure. Name and rank, she asked. The Vorthak general standing before her. I am General Vorthkan of the 17th Imperial Fleet, he replied, his purple skin pale with defeat. I formally surrender my forces to human authority. Sujin made notes on her datapad. General, you and your officers will be treated according to galactic law. You will have legal representation and fair trials. The alien general looked surprised. You are not going to execute us? Humans do not execute prisoners of war, Sujin replied firmly. Justice, yes. Revenge, no, this was happening across dozens of worlds. Alien military leaders who had expected brutal human conquest instead found themselves facing surprisingly civilized captors. The humans fought fiercely, but they treated prisoners well and protected civilian populations. Ambassador Hyun-woo, the same man who had walked out of the council chambers months earlier, now stood in what remained of those same chambers. Most of the alien representatives had fled, leaving only a handful of species who were desperately trying to negotiate new terms. The reformed Galactic Federation offers full membership to any species willing to accept our principles, Hyun-woo explained calmly. Equality, cooperation, and protection for all sentient life. The few remaining aliens looked at each other nervously. Counselor Zeftai, the old Quillari who had questioned the war from the beginning, spoke first. What about punishment for those who supported the attack on human space? Justice will be served, Hyun-woo replied. But justice is not the same as revenge. Those who committed crimes will face trial. Those who simply followed orders will be given opportunities to make amends. Dr. Minho's laboratory had become the center of a new kind of diplomacy. His quantum communication network now connected not just human forces, but also representatives from dozens of liberated species. For the first time in galactic history, oppressed peoples could coordinate their freedom movements instantly. The Kepler colonies are free, reported a liberated alien over the network. The human fleet helped us remove the Vorthak occupiers. We request membership in the reformed Federation. The mining worlds of Sector 7 have overthrown their Cerealian overseers, came another report. We also wish to join the humans. Request granted to both, Dr. Minho replied, forwarding their applications to President Nayung. Welcome to the Federation. Admiral Tae-sung stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the Vorthak homeworld grow larger on the main screen. The massive planet was surrounded by orbital defense stations and protected by the remainder of the alien fleet. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we are receiving surrender transmissions from the Vorthak home fleet. They are requesting terms. Tell them to stand down all weapons and prepare to be boarded, Tae-sung ordered. Any ship that attempts to flee or fight will be destroyed. The Vorthak admiral, who had once laughed at human weakness, now found himself surrendering his entire homeworld without firing a single shot. Human ships surrounded the planet like metal sharks, their quantum weapons capable of cracking the world open if necessary. But the weapons remained silent. Humans had come to liberate, not to destroy. Commissioner Sang-woo was already busy with reconstruction efforts on worlds damaged by alien oppression. His teams were providing food, medical supplies, and technical assistance to species that had suffered under Council rule for centuries. The Andromedans need water purification systems, he reported to President Na Young. Their planet was strip-mined by the Ceralians. We can have clean water flowing again within a month. Approved, Na Young replied. What about the Centauri refugees? We have temporary housing set up on New Sol. They can stay as long as needed while we help them rebuild their homeworld. Back in the former council chambers, a very different kind of trial was beginning. Councillor Vexthera, the Vorthak leader who had demanded human surrender just months before, now stood in chains before a panel of judges from multiple species. You are charged with crimes against sentient life, the chief judge announced, including the attempted enslavement of the human species, the oppression of 47 other species, and the illegal use of military force against civilian populations. Vexthera's purple skin was almost gray with fear. I was following the laws of the Empire. I was protecting Galactic Order. Whose order? Asked Ambassador Hyunwoo, who was serving as prosecutor. You claimed to represent galactic civilization, but you ruled through fear and oppression. That is not civilization. That is tyranny. The trial was being broadcast across the galaxy, allowing billions of beings to see justice being served for the first time in their lives. Many of them were species that had been enslaved or oppressed by the old council. Former Councillor Zeftai had become an unexpected ally to the humans. His long experience with galactic politics made him valuable in establishing the new Federation. The old system was built on fear, he explained to a gathering of liberated species. The strong oppressed the weak because they could. The new system is built on cooperation. We are stronger together than any of us could be alone. Young-Soo, the AI designer whose neural link technology had given humans their military advantage, was now working on peaceful applications. His systems were being used to coordinate relief efforts, manage refugee populations, and help different species communicate despite language barriers. The same technology that won the war can now help us win the peace, he explained to a group of alien scientists who were eager to learn human methods. When we share knowledge instantly, we can solve problems that would take years to address through normal communication. Captain Dalsu had returned to his merchant work, but now his ships carried supplies to liberated worlds instead of conducting covert intelligence missions. He was helping to establish new trade routes that benefited all species equally, rather than enriching only the powerful. Fair trade means everyone profits, he explained to a gathering of alien merchants. When we work together, there is enough prosperity for everyone. President Na Young addressed the galaxy from her office on Earth, speaking to an audience of trillions of beings across hundreds of worlds. 6 months ago, your leaders told you that humans were weak and primitive, she said calmly. They said we needed to be controlled for the good of galactic civilization. Today you know the truth. We are not weak. We are not primitive. But more importantly, we are not conquerors. We came not to rule you, but to free you. The galaxy belongs to all of us, not just the strong. The reformed Galactic Federation offers something the old council never could: true equality. Every species, regardless of size or technology, has an equal voice in our government. Every world, regardless of resources or location, deserves protection and prosperity. This is not human empire. This is galactic democracy, and it belongs to all of us. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of species that had been neutral in the conflict now requested Federation membership. Even some former Council species began to apply for readmission under the new system. As President Na Young finished her speech, Admiral Tae Sung was receiving reports from across the galaxy. Human fleets had secured over 200 star systems without major resistance. The old Council's military power had completely collapsed. Ma'am, he reported to the President, the war is over. All major alien military forces have either surrendered or requested terms. We control every strategic location in the galaxy, Na Young nodded thoughtfully, and now the real work begins. It is easier to win a war than to build a lasting peace. But as she looked at the reports flowing in from liberated worlds, she felt confident that humanity had made the right choice. They had withdrawn from unjust negotiations, fought when fighting was necessary, and now they were building something better than what had come before. The galaxy would never be the same, but for the first time in thousands of years it might actually be free. 1 year after the failed peace negotiations, Chancellor J1 stood at the podium in the rebuilt Galactic Assembly Hall. The chamber looked very different now. Instead of the cold, intimidating design favored by the old council, the new hall was built with warm materials and comfortable seating for representatives from 47 different species. Fellow citizens of the galaxy, J1 began, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber and broadcasting to trillions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Today marks the first anniversary of what historians are calling the Great Correction. The audience included beings that had never been allowed to speak in the old council chambers. Former slaves sat next to former masters. Species that had been enemies for centuries now worked together as equals. 1 year ago, humanity was told we must accept subjugation for the good of galactic peace. J1 continued. We were told to surrender our colonies, reduce our fleets, and accept permanent second-class status. We said no. Polite applause rippled through the chamber. Many of the alien representatives were still getting used to the human concept of applause, but they were learning. Today, every species in this chamber has an equal voice in galactic government. Today, no species can be enslaved, oppressed, or conquered by another. Today, the galaxy belongs to all of us. Admiral Tae-sung watched from the Military Observers section, now serving as Supreme Commander of the Federation Defense Force. His ships patrolled the galaxy not as conquerors, but as protectors of peace and freedom. Sir, his aide whispered, we have reports from the Outer Rim. 3 more species have requested Federation membership. Tae-sung nodded quietly. Almost every week new species applied to join the Federation. Word was spreading that humans offered something the old council never had: genuine equality and protection. In the prisoner section of the hall, former Councillor Vex Thara sat in simple civilian clothes. His war crimes trial had ended 6 months ago with a conviction, but his sentence was community service rather than execution. He was required to help rebuild worlds damaged by Vorthak oppression. At first, he had been angry and humiliated. A leader of the mighty Vorthak Empire, forced to carry supplies and tend gardens like a common laborer. But as months passed, something strange happened. He began to see the beings he had oppressed as actual people with hopes, fears, and dreams. Vexithara called out a small alien child whose species he had once enslaved. Will you help me plant these flowers? The former Vorthak leader looked down at the child, remembering when he would have considered such a being barely worth noticing. Now he knelt carefully and began helping with the planting. Of course, little one. What kind of flowers are these? Hope blossoms, the child replied with a smile. My grandmother says they only grow when people are truly happy. Commissioner Sangwoo's reconstruction efforts had transformed dozens of worlds. Mining planets stripped bare by alien corporations were becoming green again. Species that had been scattered by war were returning to rebuild their homeworlds. The Kepler system is reporting full agricultural restoration, he announced to the assembly. Their food production has increased by 300% since liberation. The Andromedans have exceeded their pre-war population levels, added another official. They are requesting permission to establish new colonies in the Outer Rim. Granted, Chancellor J1 replied. All species have the right to expand and prosper, as long as they respect the rights of others. Diplomat Hae Jin had spent the year crafting the new galactic constitution. The document was revolutionary in its simplicity. All sentient life was equal, all species had the right to self-determination, and no being could be enslaved or oppressed by another. The Constitution has been ratified by all 47 member species, she reported to the Assembly. We now have the legal framework for a truly free galaxy. Old Councillor Zeftai, now serving as an elder advisor to the Federation, smiled as he watched the proceedings. His 800 years of life had shown him many governments rise and fall, but this was the first one that actually seemed to care about justice. I have lived long enough to see empires built on fear and greed, he said during his speech to the Assembly, but I never thought I would live to see an empire built on hope. Thank you, humans, for showing us a better way. Dr. Minho's quantum communication network had evolved far beyond its military origins. It now connected schools, hospitals, research centers, and refugee camps across the galaxy. Knowledge and assistance could be shared instantly between worlds, separated by thousands of light years. The medical breakthrough on Centauri Prime is being transmitted to all Federation hospitals, he announced. The new treatment for quantum radiation poisoning will save thousands of lives. Youngsu's AI systems were being used for peaceful purposes throughout the galaxy. Instead of coordinating military strikes, they now managed food distribution, coordinated rescue efforts during natural disasters, and helped translate between the dozens of languages spoken in Federation space. Captain Dalsu had become one of the most successful merchants in the galaxy, but his success came from fair dealing rather than exploitation. His trade routes connected species that had never been allowed to interact under the old council system. The Ceralian silk weavers are trading directly with the Andromedian crystal artists, he reported, to the Economic Council. Both species are prospering from the exchange. Warden Sujin had transformed her prison ships into rehabilitation centers. Instead of simply punishing war criminals, the Federation worked to help them understand their crimes and make amends to their victims. Rehabilitation rates among former council officials are at 92%, she reported. Most are now contributing positively to Federation society. Ambassador Hyunwoo, now serving as Secretary General of Interspecies Affairs, spent his days mediating disputes and facilitating cooperation between different species. His calm demeanor and fair judgment had earned him respect even from former enemies. The territorial dispute between the Kalari and the Nexans has been resolved peacefully, he announced. Both species have agreed to share the disputed system and work together to develop its resources. President Na Young, now in her second year of leading the Federation, addressed the assembly from Earth via quantum communication link. My fellow citizens, she said, her image appearing on screens throughout the hall. When we withdrew from those peace negotiations 1 year ago, many thought we were being foolish. They believed we could not survive without the protection and guidance of the Galactic Council. They were wrong. We did not need their protection. We needed their tyranny to end. And when it became clear that peaceful change was impossible, we chose to create change through strength. But strength without justice is merely tyranny by another name. That is why the Federation is built on principles of equality, cooperation, and mutual respect. We are strong not because we oppress the weak, but because we protect them. Commander Seokjin's special forces had been transformed into a rapid response team for humanitarian crises. Instead of conducting military strikes, they now rescued trapped miners, delivered supplies to disaster zones, and protected refugee convoys. Team Alpha successfully evacuated 3,000 civilians from the volcanic eruption on Gamma Centauri, he reported. No casualties. All refugees are being processed for temporary housing on nearby Federation worlds. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a memorial to those who had died in what was being called the Liberation War. The monument was simple but powerful, a crystal spire reaching toward the stars, with the names of every being who had died in the conflict carved into its surface. We remember those who died so that others might be free, Chancellor Jae-won said as he dedicated the memorial. Human and alien alike, they sacrificed their lives for a dream of galactic justice. We honor them by making that dream a reality. As the assembly dispersed, beings from dozens of species mingled freely in the corridors. Former enemies shared meals and discussed trade agreements. Children from different worlds played together while their parents negotiated cultural exchanges. Admiral Tae-sung walked slowly through the crowd, observing the peaceful interactions with satisfaction. His ship still patrolled the galaxy, but they rarely needed to fire their weapons. The threat of Federation justice was usually enough to deter aggression. Admiral, a young officer approached him. The Outer Rim Patrol reports all systems secure. No hostile activity detected anywhere in Federation space. Good, Tae-sung replied, but remain vigilant. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of justice. As night fell on the station, Chancellor Jae-won stood alone in his office looking out at the stars. 1 year ago, humanity had faced a choice: accept subjugation or fight for freedom. They had chosen to fight, not just for themselves, but for every oppressed being in the galaxy. The cost had been high. Thousands had died in the Liberation War, but the alternative would have been worse. A galaxy where might made right, where the strong could oppress the weak without consequence. Now, for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was truly free. Not perfect. There were still disputes to resolve, problems to solve, and challenges to overcome. But free. A gentle chime announced an incoming message. The hologram of President Na Young appeared in TI.